On this day, in 1920, a special sitting of the police court was held at Dunwich on Stradbroke Island, an unusual occurrence but highly fitting given the circumstances. There had been trouble at Dunwich Benevolent Asylum 2 weeks earlier, on April Fool's Day of all days, and it was now up to the police magistrate to pass judgment on the matter. Whilst the name carries the term asylum, which immediately conjures up images of straitjackets and electroshock therapy, the Dunwich Benevolent Asylum had actually been set up in the 1860s as a home for the poor, sick and invalided Brisbane residents who were unable to care for themselves, basically a nursing home for the unfortunate. It functioned through until the 1940s, when the operation was relocated back to the mainland and became Eventide Nursing Home at Sandgate. However, like similar homes throughout the 1920s, there were unpalatable occurrences that took place from time to time, as had done on the 1st of April. Inmates Michael Riley and William Oliver had been bickering for some time. No doubt it was over nothing more than a difference of opinion, and the two men simply disliked one another. Some weeks prior, Oliver had crept up to the bed of Riley and muttered abuse before skulking back into the shadows, thus setting himself up for the events that would follow. Having been granted leave to visit the mainland, Riley was in particularly good spirits on his return to the asylum on the evening of the 1st of April, having been consistently drinking whiskey on the boat trip back to the island. Laying on his bunk bed within the asylum's number 2 ward, no doubt feeling a little looser than usual, Riley spotted Oliver through the doorway walking outside and called him a Scotch bastard, and with that, the fight was on. Demanding Riley put his hands up in order for a fist fight, Riley replied that fisticuffs was not his style and immediately withdrew a silver revolver from his pocket. Before Oliver could react, Riley fired off a round, striking his opponent in the right thigh. As Oliver stood there in complete disbelief, Riley asked if he'd like another one, to which Oliver bolted in the opposite direction as fast as his wounded leg could carry him. Seeking urgent medical aid at the asylum's dispensary in which he worked, Oliver was placed on board the recently arrived steamer Otter and was transferred back to the mainland and in turn the General Hospital, where his condition was found to be relatively non-life-threatening. As for Riley, more excitement was yet to come. On Oliver's shooting, the island's new police representative, Constable Carrig, was sought out. Ironically, Constable Carrig had only just returned to Dunwich, on board the very same vessel as Riley, and had already had words with him while still crossing Moreton Bay. When approaching the jetty at Dunwich, Riley had approached Carrig, jovially commenting that he was in possession of a revolver loaded with a single bullet and sought permission to fire the round before the vessel docked. Advising Riley against his suggestion, Carrig recommended safely and promptly unloading the revolver once land was made. So, with a good idea of the inmate he was tasked to approach for the shooting, Carrig mounted the stairs of number 2 ward at the asylum. A fearless policeman who had previously received the King's Medal and other commendations for bravery in the line of duty, Carrig wasn't the type to back down on finding himself rushed by Riley before he could even reach the door. Wrestling his suspect to the floor and confiscating the revolver, the firearm was found to contain a further 5 live rounds. Both Oliver and Carrig had been particularly lucky in their respective altercations with Riley. At the arraignment hearing on the 16th of April, evidence was tendered against Riley that when asked why he was carrying a concealed revolver and had attempted to kill William Oliver, a startling revelation had come to light. Amazingly, Riley had stated that he'd had no prior intention of shooting Riley. He'd actually brought the revolver to the island to kill another inmate at the asylum by the name of Billy Brown. Furthermore, when he was done with Brown, he'd intended on bumping off a few more of his enemies at the home. Having heard quite enough, and also realising how lucky the wider asylum population had been, the police magistrate forwarded the case to the Supreme Court. Phenomenally, when Riley answered for his opportunistic crime a month later, his charge was downgraded to unlawful wounding, and he was sentenced to a single year of imprisonment to be wholly suspended on payment of £50 with an additional promise to be of good behaviour for 12 months.